What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says they're going to vote again on lowering prescription drug pricing that the Republicans blocked. We got a lot of different things to talk about here today in this video, so let's jump right in. Here we go. Yeah, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the Senate will vote again on the $35 insulin cap after the GOP blocked it. Now, remember that in the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022, it does cap insulin for tens of millions of people that are on Medicare, but not for private insurance. And the Republicans voted no on it, or were the ones that blocked it. There were a couple Republicans that voted yes on it. You can see here, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said last night that he is going to bring a $35 cap on patients' insulin costs back up for a vote this fall after Republicans blocked it over the weekend. He says, quote, they blocked it for a $35 price for insulin for non-Medicare people. We're going to come back and make them vote on it again. Maybe try to pass it. Here's what he has to say.
Let me ask you about what I just laid out very quickly, about this string of accomplishments that you have managed to pull off in the United States Senate. This bill, the Inflation Reduction Act that you and your colleagues were able to pass in this marathon session over the weekend, it is being called the largest, most important, most significant legislation since the Affordable Care Act. Do you think it is that big a deal? Do you see it in those terms?
I do. Some have even compared it to things even earlier in the 60s, but it's huge. And look, for years, decades, Congress said we were going to do something about climate change. Nothing happened. We were going to go after the pharmaceutical industry and lower the cost of prescription drugs. Nothing happened. We were going to go after wealthy corporations and individuals who didn't pay a fair share of taxes. Nothing happened. And now all of these things, plus 9 million jobs, plus real deficit reduction, $300 billion, is happening at once. It's an amazing accomplishment, and particularly in light of the fact, Rachel, we have a 50-50 Senate running from Bernie Sanders to Joe Manchin. We get no help from the Republicans on these issues. They're intransigent. So it's really something my colleagues stuck together, every one of us, because we knew we had to get something done. It doesn't have everything we want. It doesn't have everything I want. But if you ask the American people, are you anguishing and just concerned that we can't get it, that Congress is gridlocked and can't get anything done? Well, these 6 weeks have brushed that away. And I'll make one more comment, Rachel, about how it might affect things. People are now realizing that the Republican Party is becoming a MAGA Trump Republican Party. The Dobbs decision on choice and the other Supreme Court decisions on guns and on environment, the January 6th hearings, the right-wing rhetoric that comes out of almost so many mainstream or formerly mainstream Republican politicians, they don't like them. But they were wondering, well, if we give the Democrats power after November, keep the House Democratic, increase the number of seats in the Senate, will the Democrats be able to get anything done? I think the last 6 weeks, with all the bills you've mentioned, and particularly this recent bill, answer with a resounding yes. Democrats can get things done in a bipartisan way when Republicans will work with us or are pressured to work with us, but on our own if we have to.
Did you learn something through this process, again, particularly on this bill that you just were able to pass this weekend, about sort of unlocking the lock that has been Senator Manchin of West Virginia, Senator Sinema of Arizona? Those two senators in particular have taken on sort of outsized roles at both in terms of public attention, but also in terms of the ability to decide what legislation moves forward and what doesn't, just because of their willingness to stand with Republicans on some things, or at least not always stand with their Democratic colleagues. Yeah. Do you feel like you've learned more about how to work with them in ways that keep them on side with you?
Well, the bottom line is that in a 50-50 Senate, any one senator can block things. But if you have to keep going at it and finding ways to come together in a way that affects the American people. Look, Joe Manchin and I disagree on climate, but this bill will reduce, this proposal, when it becomes law, is the most massive change in fighting global warming that we've had. It will reduce the amount of carbon that goes into the atmosphere by 2030 by 40%. Now, the original BBB was better, but 45%, so it's very close. And I'll tell you the one thing I've learned. It's a lesson my dad taught me. My dad passed away in November, but he's still with me. You know, he had to work his whole life in a junky little exterminating business. He hated it, never complained, never resented people who got better breaks than him. But he taught me one thing, that if you work hard at something, when you're doing the right thing, and if you work hard and you persist, the way he put it, God will reward you, you'll succeed. We had a lot of dead ends in this process, but we kept persisting and persisting and persisting, and look what we've achieved, something really, really fine. So my message, persist, don't give up, try to find that common ground, keep your principles, but make sure that you never give up.
Given the breaking news tonight, sir, I feel like I need to ask you about something that I feel like we can sort of see looming on the horizon. And we are starting to see very far-right, Trump-supporting members of the other party, of the Republican Party, talk about things like going after the Justice Department, going after the FBI, defunding or getting rid of the Justice Department, getting rid of the FBI. We're seeing high-profile, ambitious Republican governors go after individual prosecutors for not wanting to prosecute things the way that the governors want them prosecuted in their states. With the FBI raiding the president's house today at Mar-a-Lago, and I know you don't want to talk about that in substance,
right.
It seems clear, I think it seems obvious to both of us, that we're about to enter into a new and more intense era of the Republicans and the Trump-supporting Republicans really waging war on law enforcement, and especially on the idea of federal law enforcement. And I wonder if you've been thinking strategically about that, about defending those institutions, defending that part of the executive branch that enforces federal law against the sort of politicized attacks that are coming their way.
Yeah, look, what's happened, and you've put it well, Rachel, is a large chunk of the Republicans, not all of them, but a large chunk have become what I call MAGA Republicans, Trump Republicans, with little respect for rule of law, with little respect for the balance of power of institutions, frankly, with little respect for truth itself. I mean, when a third of all people and a majority of Republicans now believe that the election was stolen when there's no evidence to that effect, that's proof of that. The good news on that front is it's hurting them. In just speaking in terms of preventing them from getting power in the House and increasing, or in the Senate and in the House, the numbers in all of our elections is looking very, very good with both our incumbents and our challengers. And that is, I think, because the American people are smelling that this Republican Party, the MAGA Republican Party, is not the old Republican Party, which may have been conservative, may have been pro-business, may have not been very good on climate issues, but at least had some respect for democracy and rule of law. I think they're going to pay a price for this in the election, and I think Democrats should use it as an issue, that the rule of law, the protection of democracy is a key issue here, and we better watch out if we give Republicans power in either the House or the Senate. And I think that's going to be successful, along with the issues we're talking about, the accomplishments that we were talking about on climate and on drugs and on closing loopholes and on job creation. You know, we're going to go back. I mean, this is one smaller thing. It's not exactly on your topic. They blocked a $35 price for insulin for non-Medicare people. We're going to come back and make them vote on that again. When they get taken over by the extremes, whether on issues of democracy or issues of making people's lives better and reducing their costs, they're going to lose out. I still have faith that if we are vigilant, if we persist, if we don't give up or throw up our hands, it's going to backfire on them. And I believe it will.
Yeah, so let me know your thoughts here in the comments. Yeah, I really am kind of awestruck on why the Republicans voted down the $35 cap on insulin for, private insurance. I mean, that's literally I've seen so many comments from you guys here in the comment section of you guys or friends or family members of people that take insulin and how expensive it is, and how many people it affects. And obviously insulin is just one prescription. So when we think about like this bill and lowering the costs of prescriptions and medicine And it'll also, over time, help reduce the cost of healthcare and raises to Medicare. Because remember the raise to Medicare Part B, that $21 raise that we had last year. Medicare has confirmed that a large portion of that raise was due to one prescription drug in there, Alduhelm. Okay, so even if you don't take Alduhelm, um, that one prescription drug in there, remember that cost of Alduhelm was $56,000 per year per patient. And that was a large cost of why Medicare Part B went up $21 last year. Okay. So this is why the cost of prescription drugs affects everybody. So if you pay for Medicare Part B, if you pay for health insurance, if you pay for health insurance through your job, you're paying for these prescription drugs one way or another through your monthly premiums or one way or another. So reducing the cost of prescription drugs is a good thing for everybody, and it will lower costs over time. And another thing in this bill, as you can see here, Medicare drug costs to be capped at $2,000 a year in the Inflation Reduction Act. Okay, so right now there's no cap, and this is about $166 a month if you average it out to what it would cost a month here to hit that $2,000 a year cap for people on Medicare. So right now there's no cap, so this means the maximum you can pay per year will be $2,000 a year. So again, there's a lot of good things in here. I personally think there could have been a lot more in this bill, but it caps seniors out of pocket drug costs at $2,000 a year, okay, or $166 a month. And some people might not hit that, but for some people that do, it's significant. And it also caps insulin at $35 a month, but only for people on Medicare because the Republicans voted it down for people that weren't on Medicare. Now, originally the Senate parliamentarian said it doesn't fall within the reconciliation rules, but they voted anyways to overrule her, which they can do. They've done that in the past. All you need is 60 votes to pass it. 50 Democrats voted yes on it. 7 Republicans also voted yes on it. But Republican Senator Lindsey Graham and Republican Senator Ron Johnson um, led the charge for it, and 43 other Republican senators voted no on it, which, again, why would we not want that? I mean, this is a life-saving drug, and insulin only costs a few dollars to make. I think the average cost of insulin to make is... So first of all, there's diabetes is no small issue. There's over 30 million people with diabetes. There's different types of diabetes and different types of insulin, of course. In 2012, the average cost of insulin per diabetes patient was $2,864 a year. By 2016, it had risen to $5,700 a year. So it literally doubled in like 4 years. Today, one vial of insulin can cost $250. I think this article that I just Googled here within 10 seconds is a few years old. It's even more now. And it can easily cost someone without insurance $1,300 per month for the condition. Even with insurance, co-payments and supplies can eat away at your monthly budget. For those without health insurance, the older human insulin costs anywhere from $25 to $100 per vial. Walmart has human insulin available at $25 per vial. I've seen people comment on this, but I don't know if everybody can take that type of insulin that Walmart offers at $25 per vial. But I do want to mention that Walmart offers that at $25 per vial. But I don't know enough to be able to. I want to say that that is there available here. But the newer human analog insulins cost between $174 to $300 per vial and can go up to, I think, like $1,000 per vial. So there are different types, I know. People with type 1 diabetes generally use 2 different types of insulin per day. They start with 2 injections per day and progress to 3 to 4 doses per day, according to the American Diabetes Association. just to give you guys an idea. So this is a complicated process here. Not everybody can just take one or one type. But get this, how much does it cost to produce insulin? A 2018 study estimated that one vial of human insulin costs $2 to $3 to produce, and one vial of analog insulin costs $3 to $6 to produce. This is, and remember how much they're charging here. So it's $2 to $3 for the cheaper version and $3 to $6 to produce, and yet they're charging you hundreds of dollars. So that is exactly why lawmakers want to cap it at $35 a month, because drug makers would still make plenty of money doing this. So you can let me know your thoughts here on this. I know that California Governor Gavin Newsom, they have also launched a program. I think they spent $100 million of their budget surplus. They have a $97 billion surplus, so almost $100 billion they have of extra money. They spent $100 million, so not even $1 billion. California is going to start producing their own generic version of insulin. So that will be coming. I think they are going to try to have it sometime next year. So Mark Cuban with his Cost Plus Drugs, I think it's costplusdrugs.com. You can just Google Mark Cuban Cost Plus Drugs to find his website. I don't think they have insulin yet, but they're going to try to have it here sometime soon as well. So there's various different types or plans to have it. But if you're on Medicare, they're going to have it for $35 once it passes the House, and also has the president sign it, and then takes some time to get enacted. So that's the good thing if you're on Medicare, if you're a senior. But if you're not, then we're going to have to still get some more things. So again, steps forward, steps forward. Also, Medicare is going to have other things here. The $2,000 cap, which is $166 per month. Some people will hit that, some people won't. But again, that's a good thing. And also, this will help bring down the cost. Remember, they're going to be able to negotiate the cost of other drugs going forward here as well. So again, this will lower the cost of all sorts of healthcare and drugs going forward. And that'll bring down the cost of a bunch of different things here for Americans, and bring down the cost of premiums as well. Because remember, built into the cost of your premiums and Medicare Part B, and even a private insurance as well, is this cost. So even if you don't pay for any, even if you don't have any prescriptions, you're paying for this one way or another, because it's built into your cost. Like, even if you don't take Alduhelm, which very few people do, that $21 increase for Medicare Part B was a large part of that was because of Alduhelm, the Alzheimer's drug that costs $56,000 a year. So this is why being able to negotiate prescription drugs is going to be a very good thing for the country as a whole. Now, this stuff is going to take time to kick in. Medicare is going to be able to negotiate 20 prescription drugs per year going forward. So it's not like all this stuff is going to happen tomorrow, but over the course of several years going forward, we're going to really start to see a savings, as opposed to no savings at all. As opposed to if this bill didn't pass, the prescription drug companies would just keep raking us over the coal and keep charging us whatever they want. No savings for nothing, no life saving nothing. So again, this is just one thing here, and I get the whole political perspective here, but I think that most people would agree that this provision in the bill, whether you're Republican, Democrat, or anything, it's just a common sense thing. I think that this, I don't, I think it'd be hard pressed to say that this prescription drug life-saving cost reduction thing is a good thing overall. You let me know your thoughts here. I get that some other things maybe in the bill, people say, oh, I don't agree with that, or there could have been a lot more in the bill. But you guys can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. So I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. Make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel. It's completely free to do so. New videos come out here every day, and I will keep you up to date here. You can click here to watch my newest video next. And there are millions of people that are getting checks this month here, and there will be even more coming here soon. You can click this video here to watch that out with the details of that. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.